Okay, Dylan, something else that we need to discuss. Of course, this came out kind of earlier in the month, but since we've been a little slack at the end of the year, they finally revealed that Anne Hesh, her autopsy showed cocaine in her system at the time of the car crash. Now, there
Oh,
was a lot of conspiracy floating around that she was making a Lifetime movie and it was just going to impact the child sex trafficking industry so much that she was taken out.
you take that back. She was going to single-handedly shut down child trafficking worldwide with the release of that movie, okay, Heather? And if you believe those results for one moment, when the people in control of the child sex trafficking rings control everything else, okay? Those were actors that pulled her out of that house, okay, Heather? They set that place on fire. That house wasn't even there the day before, okay?
It was a set.
It was built overnight, okay, so they could be ready, all right? With
Now,
trap doors.
she did appear to have some sort of bottle in the seat in the front of the vehicle moments
Yeah.
before she crashed, but they've determined there was no alcohol in her system. She did have cocaine in her system and fentanyl was detected. But they determined that the fentanyl was administered at a hospital where she was getting like treatment for chronic pain.
Damn, son.
Anywho,
Okay.
I just thought that was interesting news to come out. I know it was a big story, and the internet's conspiracy theorists went wild
Well,
after her death.
look, nowadays anything happens. There's going to be a group of people that say they don't believe what's being said, and it's some kind of conspiracy. Okay, it's going to happen. But I'm afraid that personally, in the Anne Hesh stuff, the way I viewed it, she seemed to be having some issues. Okay. And, popping in the wig store, why she need a wig, who she's running from is how the conspiracy theorists portray that. Maybe she just wanted a fresh wig. You know what I'm saying?
Or maybe the erratic behavior stemmed from something else.
Or maybe, yeah, that was just,
Because she's been known to have mental health issues.
maybe it was a mental health issue.
Like 20 years ago, wasn't she like walking along the highway saying something about being abducted by aliens? Or I don't know.
That was MK Ultra. They were preparing her to assassinate Ellen if they needed to, if Ellen didn't play ball.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that the theory
About the frazzle drip video.
from 20 years ago?
Yes.
This is all very confusing.
Yes, and this can all be blamed on Anthony Weiner's laptop, okay, guys? Okay, because we know that all those detectives that looked at it, most of them are dead. They were all suicided, okay? All of them, which is actually true. Like 8 out of a 12-man unit committed suicide along the years after looking at his laptop. We can go there. We'll go there some other time on Batshit Crazy.
We've got to bring that podcast
We
back.
need to bring that back because that is where we should talk about that weird shit.
Okay, one more thing, Dylan. A big story this year was the suspected serial killer in Stockton, California has been arrested. Wesley Brownlee is facing new attempted murder charges. He's now accused of 7 murders spanning from 2021 to 2022. He's a suspected California serial killer.
Wow, dude. Oh, I'm glad they got him.
Yeah, so they have charged him with like 4 other murders. So it's like a total of 7. Juan Vasquez back in April of 2021. Paul Yaw on July 8th. These it's just so senseless. Basically just like shooting these people randomly, it seemed like.
Holy shit. And the authorities are claiming that he used an untraceable firearm known as a ghost gun. Wow. Interesting.
He was out hunting because he had these patterns, early morning. He was just on a mission to kill. And based on his behavior, he was stopped, searched, and they found a firearm with a similar caliber to the weapon that was being used in these homicides. That ghost gun, they were able to trace it to at least 3 of the murders. They've confirmed that ballistics tests have linked the shootings to one another. He's a truck driver who recently moved from Oakland to Stockton. And there's only one female survivor, Natasha Latour. He attacked her back in April of 2021, and she's the only person who's managed to live.
So
He shot her about 10 times.
honestly, okay, this is going to get interesting. There goes the fire truck. I hope everybody's okay. So look, This is much in the spirit of the Son of Sam murders.
Yes, it is very
random.
reminiscent of that.
We've had the DC sniper incident was very, very so random, and this is what the type of random violence that can terrorize an entire region, make people change their patterns, make people change the way they do things, always looking over their shoulder, and that's very scary, and it's tragic that these 4 random victims that he's been charged with so far were killed like that, needlessly, senselessly. And I'm sure the entire area of Stockton can maybe rest at peace for the moment.
How terrifying.
I mean, just really, you just never know.
Mass shootings are very scary.
This is someone out hunting
But
humans.
someone out hunting humans, randomly shooting
It's no different
people
than
is
what.
fucking scary.
Yeah, it's no different than what many people have done during this month and deer season and all that in parts of the country. You just stalk your prey, you get them right where you want them, and then you shoot them. And all the victims were found in by themselves in dimly lit areas, which is going to be off the beaten path in the early morning or very late at night. So he knew that he could get them by themselves and kill them.
So scary.
Very, very scary. Very scary.
One of the other big true crime pieces of information, Dylan, that has come out recently is that George Wagner IV was finally sentenced to 8 consecutive life sentences plus 121 years for 8 counts of aggravated murder and other charges connected with the Piketon family murders, which we have covered here on Mountain Murders.
Yes. An entire family wiped out.
If you've not checked out that episode, you should. It's actually a Dylan-centric episode. Dylan leads the podcast.
Oh my God!
On
Which
the
means
Piketon
it's
family massacre.
terrible.
So you should definitely check that out.
Yeah, it was the Roden family.
The Roden family.
Roden family murders. Click that in your Google box, and you'll find our episode on that, or you can dig through the archives. But I'm glad. But honestly, like, look at that sentence. 8 life sentences with 100 and some years tacked on top to make sure, because we all know life sentence isn't typically truly a life sentence unless it's without parole specified. That guy shouldn't be allowed to live. He shouldn't be allowed to eat and breathe and get comfortable in prison. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of debate.
He's a piece of shit.
There definitely needs to be some reform to our criminal justice system. I don't know exactly what that entails, but we just have a really fucked up way of punishing people in this country.
Well, here's the thing.
And the things that people will go to jail for a long time, like when it comes to drugs, but then you can be a rapist or a pedophile and you're back out on the streets in like a couple months.
How many
It's
times
absurd.
have we talked about child monsters, predators, killers?
We talk about it all the time, Dylan.
And how many times
Very
have they,
passionate about it here on Mountain Murders.
how many times have they had run-ins with the law, episodes where they were caught and put in jail for a couple, but always get out early, always get out 3 or 4 fucking times, and then next thing you know, boom, they went all the way, they've killed, they've murdered, they've so many more victims. It's fucking disgusting.
Well, speaking of, Dylan, a prisoner on North Carolina's death row who murdered a 5-year-old girl 20 years ago has died. The Department of Public Safety said that 51-year-old Eric Glenn Lane died early this morning, so early Thursday morning, of natural causes at Raleigh's Central Prison Medical Center.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was convicted in Wayne County, North Carolina back in 2005 of first-degree murder, rape, and kidnapping in the death of Precious Ebony Whitfield 3 years earlier, and he received the death sentence. The little girl was last seen playing outside her grandma's home, and it was a few days later, I think 2 days later, they found her body in a creek. So yeah, for 20 years we've been feeding and housing this piece of shit while he's on death row for 20 years. So why not just execute him?
I know you got to have the safety checks, the appeal process, but it don't take 20 years, guys. It doesn't. It does not take 20 years.
I mean, it's a hot issue. People have very strong
Well,
feelings
look here.
about
Okay,
the death
look.
penalty and capital punishment, and I understand.
We're not going
I
to solve
also have
it.
mixed feelings, but there are certain instances where that seems to be the only fair outcome.
in this day and age of forensics, DNA, and all the advancements that have been made across the board, and typically people's fault in the capital punishment system lies in an innocent man being killed.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
They would rather let a guy like that live for 20 years and make absolutely sure that one innocent person doesn't get killed. And I understand that. I think that has a lot of value in the conversation. But when it is beyond, I mean, when there's multiple DNA, all this science to prove, we know for a fact.
Without a doubt,
when you
this
show
person is guilty.
When you show up to a mass shooting and the guy's there, or the guy, it's not ever girls, I'm just going to say the guy's there and he has the shit on and he's actively shooting people when you show up. Why do we need all that other bullshit, guys? I get it. He needs to go through the paces, but that should be an automatic death. Should be and I bet you $100 that shit would slow down a little bit. Now, some of them want to die anyway, and you certainly can't scare a person that's willing to kill themselves. But yeah, we pull up on site and you're there doing that. The evidence it's right there, guys.
Well, Dylan, we can't solve the world's problems right now on Mountain Murders. But guess what? We have all of 2023 to do it.
Oh,
High five.
shit.
You like how I bring that around?
Yeah, 12 months, and
Yeah.
we're going to have this shit fixed.
Yeah, totally.
Well, first thing you got to do is separate the rapists, molesters, murderers from people who have used drugs. Okay, there's step one. And the rapists, molesters, murderers, they got to stay. Okay, and depending on what drug activity, the nonviolent, all that shit, we're going to, because see what if you got people who are lifers, never going to get out for whatever reason, they should be kept a different way than the people who are going to be re-released into society. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
These low-level offenders and stuff, in my opinion, could benefit from like campus settings and stuff they use like in Sweden
Yes.
and Norway. Will actually teach people social skills. And there's a reason they act like this, and we're going to try to help them, because you want that guy's going to be your neighbor eventually. Could be somebody's neighbor, and you want them to be a good neighbor. And they need to learn skills. They need to learn life skills, job skills, something.
Well, it's proven that it significantly cuts the recidivism rate. Yeah.
The recidivism. The statistics talk for themselves.
We're never going to spend that kind of money in this country. We don't want to pay for justice reform. We don't want to pay for mental health care.
I'm no softy, because the other ones who are the murderers, rapists, molesters, they should be in a hard labor camp.
Now, here's a hot take.
They should be in a hard labor camp.
Now that you're giving me that, okay, I was just going to say I have a hot take here. I know it's not a popular opinion in 2022, heading into 2023.
Damn, this is a very controversial episode.
Bring back the chain gangs.
There you go.
I know there's a lot of folks out there who are like, oh, that's cruel and unusual punishment, and that's slavery and whatever.
It is.
But, if you do some shit crime, then you should be out paving my fucking road or something.
Don't rape, murder, and fuck with kids, and you wouldn't be on there. Okay? And these are the people, okay, I know people might be like, what the fuck are they talking about right now?
Let them pick
These
up
are the
trash
people
off the highways.
who is 1,000% sure of what they are. Okay? They're a different category.
Well, there's no reason why they can't be picking up trash off the highways.
No.
Because I have a problem with litter.
Well, used to, our county stayed very, very, very clean, and that was the reason they were using people.
We had a state prison
well,
facility here.
This was
but
also,
it was a very low security. Right. I mean, these were guys who were like drunk drivers, or they just didn't pay their child support or something.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of work release happening, and they would take these fellas out and they would pick up trash all along the highways. I remember that when I was a kid.
And you know what?
And it was clean county.
Those guys were glad to get out of cell for the day and get some fresh air. So, I mean, it's not people get in their mind a old school Louisiana chain gang from the 1920s.
It's not Cool Hand Luke.
And it's not Cool Hand Luke, because that would be fucking awesome.
Although maybe we should do that.
What we have here is a failure for you to pay your court dues.
Woo!
You're fine, son.
Lucille. That is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Dylan, it's been really fun recrapping some true crime with you.
I should Mountain Murders recrap.
Talking about all of the insanity of 2022. What in the world is 2023 going to bring?
I don't know.
Well, I can tell you one thing it's going to bring.
What's that?
us together, Dylan.
Oh, wow.
The whole month of January, our podcast will be covering cases in our neighbor state of Tennessee.
Good old Tennessee. Rocky Top. Yep.
Exactly. I'm excited to cover some Tennessee-only cases. Some pretty fascinating stories out of Tennessee.
Tennessee's popping, son.
Is
It's
it?
popping. Yeah. And, Kentucky was kind of hung up there in the Christmas month, and maybe some may feel we didn't give it as much attention.
Actually, you know what? I have a case that we missed that we will be covering in addition to our Tennessee case.
Okay.
Right? So we're just going to be dropping all kinds of episodes for our listeners.
Kentucky
this month.
Kentucky deserves it. It deserves it. We can't just brush
Now,
Kentucky
I have a good
aside.
Kentucky case that I guarantee you've never heard.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's interesting. I think you're going to enjoy talking about it.
I'm getting a chubby right now
Are you
talking
getting
about
chills?
Kentucky.
But you
Yeah.
were going to say chills.
Yeah, I meant chills. Isn't that what I said?
They're electrifying, like you're John Travolta.
Okay.
You know, Dylan, a few of our listeners have stepped out there and grabbed one of those true crime podcast calendars.
That's so awesome.
And I actually saw one of our listeners posted it on Mountain Murders Instagram and tagged us in it and sent us a message with the cool calendar. It looks freaking awesome. So Madison picked up a copy, and the cover is really super cool. It's got all the indie podcast logos on it. And you can pick up your true crime podcast calendar for 2023 at podcastcalendars.com. And if you use our promo code Mountain Murders, you're getting $5 off.
That's $5 in your pocket.
And you're going to get some cool new podcasts to check out with all sorts of amazing content. There is Beyond the Rainbow, which is an LGBT podcast. There is Black True Crime, Cults, Crimes, and Cabernet, which I love a good Cabernet. Ye Old Crime. We've got The Jury Room, Reverie True Crime, Murder Incorporated. So many awesome indie podcasts for you to check out this year.
Man, I can't wait to start digging into all those.
I need some new content.
That's going to be my New Year's resolution.
And to find more podcasts to listen. I mean, we're always up for suggestions. So if you've got a podcast you've been jamming, let us know about it.
You know what I did realize in my Spotify review end of year thing this year, which is always people,
The rap.
The rap. I've got to put together some new music playlists because I've worn out what I have, and it's raggedy as hell. And it's still good stuff, but I've just wore it out.
I think it's interesting every year to see like what my number one artist was.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows what mood I've been in or
Yeah.
maybe who I've really been listening to. Because last year, my number one artist was Otis Redding.
Okay.
And you know I fucking love Otis. I'm a huge fan of like 60s soul music, right? This year, my number one artist that I streamed the most, David Bowie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was funny. I had all these like bands on there, and then in my top 5, David Lee Roth was listed.
Nice.
Which I thought was hilarious because it didn't really go with the other bands that I had been listening to, like Twin Temple or whatever. But I had a drag show back in the summer, and I performed as a drag king to Alice Cooper and David Lee Roth. So it's from that show where I listened to my song and practiced over and over again, like
Oh, okay.
on repeat. So for like a whole month, it was just listening to David Lee Roth constantly. And it was so much that it impacted my whole wrap up.
Ah. Yeah, you just got wrapped. Yeah. And we had some people reach out and show that Mountain Murders was their
yes.
most listened to podcast of the year. And I got to say, like I was saying earlier,
Yeah, when you've got someone showing you, hey, I streamed your podcast for like 40,000 minutes this year.
Yeah.
I listened to the whole 4 years of content. It's pretty dope.
that blows us away. And it always reminds us that we really appreciate why we keep doing this.
We are not alone.
Heather makes a few bucks off of it, but it's not insane. Now, it's certainly not crazy money.
It'd be nice to be really super famous, like those Morbid girls.
It's not
and be
fuck you
making,
money.
Like,
Okay.
who knows how much money every month.
Yeah, it's not that.
But we do it because we love it, Dylan.
We do it because we
It
enjoy
is a
it.
labor of love. It started as a labor of love, and it has continued to thrive being a labor of love. And the more feedback we get from listeners and the more awesome our listeners are, it just makes me want to keep doing it and doing it and doing it like I'm LL Cool J.
Heather has changed everything in her life so she can redirect her attentions back to Mountain Murders and expanding our library in some form
I
or
have
fashion.
made some choices, Dylan, and I have to say, New Year's resolutions around the corner, and one of my resolutions is to really throw myself into bringing Mountain Murders to a new level.
Okay.
We've gotten this far. We've been promising we're going to do video and things
know.
like that, stream a live show. This year, I'm dedicated to sitting down and actually putting forth the effort, time, and attention to bringing even more for the listeners because I want to give them something special, Dylan.
Yeah, that would be great. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Do you have any resolutions for 2023?
I'm going to resolve to get through the year.
That's all you're trying to do?
That's it. I'm just trying to get by, bruh. In this economy, when all these variable arms reset to the new inflationary, artificially high interest rate, oh my God, I'm scared. So yeah, I'm just trying to make it.
I think we're all just trying to make
I'm just
it.
a squirrel with a nut. But now I've only got a quarter of a nut because the nut's not even valued at what it originally was.
And that nut's going to come with like a 26% interest rate.
And then I'm going to have to go put it
You're
somewhere.
going to have to refi that nut.
I'm going to have to store the nut somewhere. And then every time I want to go access my nut that I worked for hard for in the first place, I'm going to have to give them a percentage of my nut to get at my nut.
Well, that's depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway, my resolutions, Dylan, maybe are a little bit brighter. I have vowed that, you know what, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I have had a little bit of a health scare here at the end of the year. And thankfully, it's resolved and I'm not worried anymore. But I think having that little bit of health scare has made me realize how important it is to take care of myself. I often, like a lot of women out there, and probably a lot of men too, neglect my health.
Yeah.
Like I kind of put my family
Put it off.
first and I put off taking care of myself.
Right.
But I really feel like I've got to get back to being a healthier me, whether that means dieting, exercising, whatever. I want to feel better and I want to take better care of myself this year. And also want to work on, just some trying to be a better person.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good. That sounds better than mine. And healthcare professionals reached out to me and said that your wife has to quit getting wrecked by you all the time. And I'm going to do that.
What?
Get wrecked, with that incredible sex I give you. They told me I had to slow it down for your health reasons.
Why is none of this familiar to me?
Well, the HIPAA laws.
When is this happening?
I don't know.
Do you have like specific dates?
Yeah.
I need to see some documentation.
The last time they had to bring the traction equipment
I don't
into our
feel
home
like
for you to
Any
recover.
of this is
You remember.
you're gaslighting me.
There was
Dylan
construction.
is trying to gaslight me into thinking he's some sort of Lothario.
There was caution tape
Do you know our
around the
listeners are
bed.
probably so tired of you
Do you remember that?
making crude jokes about your penis all the time? And
Oh, I didn't say a thing about my penis. See, you always bring it up. And they said that that's unhealthy for you as well. That you have to have something else in your life that you concentrate on besides my penis. And I agree.
Now I have to say,
I agree.
I'm pretty open-minded about things. What was it, like maybe 2 days ago? We went to the big city, right?
We went to the big city.
And my daughter and I asked you to stop at this, like a metaphysical kind of store that we'd been wanting to go in, right?
Yeah.
And you sat in the car. So we go into the store and we're walking around and it's like, all your little things for your blessings and spells and incense and books and all the crystals, things you would find at a metaphysical shop, right? And then I'm kind of checking out, they have a whole section of candles. A lot of folks are into candle magic, right? And they had these candles that were just big dicks. They did.
Did they
They
really?
had big dick candles.
Wow. I like the way you say that.
And then they also had like vagina candles.
Well, that's good.
But I have to say, the vagina candles, they didn't look that great.
Well-
Because I knew what it was, but I was like, I feel like this could be better, like more
Yeah.
detail. They need a better mold.
Well, it'd be easy to make
But there was no denying
the
this
dick candle.
12-inch dick
It
candle.
was that big?
Yeah.
Damn. Not even no
I guess you
teacups
can do some like love spells and things with
or
them.
tea lights. just full on 12 inches.
Yeah. Sometimes it's awkward, when you have
Yeah.
kids
You can do a lot with
and
that
you're walking
candle.
around a store and you're like, oh, look, oh. And then, you guys lock eyes and then you lock eyes with a dick candle and then you just try to turn and walk the other way.
Yeah.
And so it's not weird.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just kidding. And if I do get on people's nerves, just let us know at mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com. Is that right?
I think you don't get on anybody's nerves, Dylan. They love you.
I'm just being stupid.
No, but if you want some great content, check out patreon.com. We got to get back to Patreon, Dylan. We have so many awesome folks who subscribe and support the podcast. 2023, we're going to come out swinging with lots of bonus material. We have ad-free episodes. We offer polls for folks to vote in. Hey, what's the case you want to hear? We have our Discord chat, and we're going to be offering even more services here in 2023 for folks who choose to step up and support the show. Even $1 goes a long way to help us keep the lights on here at Mountain Murders. Podcasting is not free.
It's not.
We do incur expenses. And so those folks who support Patreon at patreon.com/Mountain Murders Podcast are really helping to support the show. Our hosting site, software, all the access to newspaper articles and books and research. So we appreciate everybody who helps. And hopefully some of y'all who have enjoyed the show will feel compelled to help support it in 2023.
And don't forget the hardware. Yes, and I vow to mow everyone's grass. If you live in inside the continental United States, I will mow your grass this summer and spring, no matter where you live at in the country. Okay?
Again, he's trying to gaslight you guys.
It's going to happen.
He's so full of it. It's
gonna happen.
Now, he'll promise you he'll do it, but you're probably going to have to wait 6 or 7 months before he actually carries through with the promise. It's kind of like when I'm like, hey, baby, can you hang this picture for me?
I got to get a mower. That's going to be step
or
one.
The curtains that I've been
that.
asking you to hang here in the podcast room since we moved in the house like almost 2 months ago. So maybe you'll eventually hang the curtains up in the podcast room. It could probably help with the sound.
Maybe.
A little bit.
Maybe it sounds good. And I forgot about those
You guys
curtains.
should send Dylan some
forgot.
email, some words of encouragement on getting these curtains hung for me.
Okay.
All right.
See, I feel like I'm being assaulted now.
Happy New Year, folks. Look forward to another great Mountain Murders episode coming out this weekend. I hope the last days of 2022 serve you well.
Yes.
Stay safe, happy, and warm out there. Finally thawing out here in Western North Carolina.
Yes, and our hearts and all positive energy goes to the Buffalo area.
Oh, man.
Devastated by multiple blizzards. I think everyone knows what's happening
Loss
there.
of life. It's just
Loss of
50
life.
inches of snow. I saw a news article about a young woman who died in her car. She got trapped inside the car. Very sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. And this is an area of a bunch of tough people who deal with
Yeah.
horrible weather all the time like it's nothing. And they just it's just been too much. And so our hearts go out to them.
Absolutely, Dylan.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Until next time.
Until next time.